Hi everyone, in this video we will be looking at Vlookup and data validation tools in Excel. So this is the table that I have with me, and basically it gives the data of students that are there in a school and the marks that they have obtained in maths, science, English and social. The marks are out of 50 and the total marks that they have obtained should be entered into the total column, and the percentage would be the percentage that they obtained accordingly in the all the subjects. So now we will see how to calculate total. Basically for calculating total I will be selecting the data here in this particular row, then I will go to my home tab and I will then go to the auto sum button in the editing section. If I do auto sum, it will give me the 165 as a total of these 4 cells. Then I simply do a double click on this right bottom block, the cell there, right bottom of the cell, and this is when you should enter this one. Basically when this plus positive big plus changes into a small black plus, you need to just do a double click there and it will enter the values of the total for the other students there. And you need to do, and now you need to calculate the percentage. For calculating percentage, simply put an equal to sign and select this total and divide it by 200, because the total data in every subject that is obtained in every subject is out of 50 marks. So and there are 4 subjects, so total becomes 200 marks. I simply hit enter then and it will calculate the percentage, but you can see it is in decimal form. So basically what we do the same procedure again, and when the big white plus changes into dark plus, we do a double click here and it enters the value for every row there. And now we need to convert this into percentage. So I'll go to my number section in the home tab and I simply click on this percentage symbol. Now it gives me the value of the marks in the form of percentage. Then now we have always seen that there are lists and also data that we have. It basically there are a lot of rows in that data, and suppose if you consider a school, there will be a lot of students there, and also in the case of college, lots of students will be there. There won't be at least 15 or 16 students. So how do you pick up their data? And suppose if I am given a file in such a way, I will be using this Vlookup function that basically helps to pick up data after giving some value. I will enter the value here, and that value I can easily check up in the table using this Vlookup function, and then we can calculate or use that data for our further tasks. So in the student name, basically I will be using data validation here. Now what is data validation? Data validation is basically we limit the data there, we are validating the data and we are limiting the data that can be entered into this particular cell. So I will click on this cell and go to the data tab, and then I will click on data validation. When I select data validation here, I will be given a window here that would ask me for validation criteria. I will simply select list here, and then in the source I will be passing the array of the student names there. I will be going to this particular first cell and I will click and drag until I reach student 15. Then I will select OK. Then basically it will give you a drop down arrow in this particular cell. When I select this particular drop down arrow, I will get the student names there. So now you can select the student name and it will enter the student name there. So any student you select, it will enter that name. Now after using data validation, you need to perform Vlookup. That is the main purpose of this video, to learn Vlookup. And suppose if you want to see the marks of a particular student in maths, science, English, social and total, and also the percentage. So what basically we do is that Vlookup function is arranged in such a way, we hit equal to and we write Vlookup and we simply hit the tab key and it completes the Vlookup function. So the very first parameter that we need to pass in Vlookup function is the lookup value. So what is lookup value? Lookup value is this value that I want to look up, that which value I want to search, that value is called as the lookup value. and this value has to be selected, or this particular cell has to be selected in where I am supposed to enter my data. Okay, and this has to be made constant using the F4 key. That means I will not be changing, and I will be using absolute reference there. So I will hit F4 key and it makes it constant. Then I will put an equal a comma there, and then I will be entering my table array. Table array, always remember that whenever the table array is to be passed, the first column is supposed to be the value that you are looking up. Suppose if you select it in this way, then there will be complications in your calculation. So it's better you always select the first column as the data that you are looking up. Suppose if you want to look up student value there, so your first column should be the student column. So you select this particular table. The table array is that table, and that table that you select, or the table of data from where you want to find out the values. Okay, and then you again hit F4 and make it constant. Then we need to enter the column index number. Now you can do two things. You can physically enter the column number there of this particular, like this column number, the first column is always for the lookup values, and the second column is for maths, third column is for science, fourth for English, and so on. Okay, so you can do this thing that you can either use a number, you can enter a number here 2 or 3 or something like that, but it's better if you enter a particular cell there. So what happens is that if you enter a particular cell and you have entered values here, you can simply click and drag and you will get each value of this particular columns there. So I will use this one B1 and I will put a comma again, and now I will be using exact match. So what is the difference between true and false here? False will give you an exact match of this particular student name, and a true will give you an approximate match, that it will try to match to the nearest one, and it will also give if the value is not, because we already know the value of the student name there and it doesn't change there, so we are sure of the student name, so we will always using exact match there, and we will close the bracket and hit enter. So it will give me the value of student 10 there, but since I used B1 there, I am supposed to use the second column to return for the marks of mathematics. Okay, when I hit enter, it will give me the marks of mathematics. Now when I simply click, I'll be filling the values here 6 and 7. So basically now when we click and drag, we should get the values of English, social, total, and percentage, and you can change. So you got all the values. Now the issue that you are seeing here is that you are getting a 0.82. You simply change this one to percentage, so it will give you 82%. Now in the data validation tab, when you select another student, you will get the marks here directly. Suppose if you select student 14, you will get the marks of student 14 and also the percentage. You can verify here that you are getting the correct answer. So this was Vlookup and data validation tools that you can use for analyzing, or better if you could, it simplifies your search experience, and also you can actually pick up data very easily in the case of if you use Vlookup. So thank you, and please do like, share and subscribe.